Hi, and welcome to session 3 in our witness series. Today's session is called Relate. But let's do a quick recap before we move on. We are studying how to be an authentic witness so that people can taste and see that God is good. Session 1, called Live, was about allowing God to work authentically in our lives. Session 2 was Step Up, and it was how to live openly and transparently before others. Today, we're going to take it one step further. Matthew 28:19-20 is the Great Commission, and Acts 1 verse 8 is our anchor verse for the year, and it talks about us being witnesses. But I want to ask this question: how seriously do we take the Great Commission and this call to be a witness? Because if we are very serious about it, it requires us to go. It requires us to actually not just focus on our own lives and our issues, but to take the gospel out. The first 2 sessions really are about your life and your own issues. It's how close are you to God, and how comfortable are you with opening up your life. This next step is an invitation to a world that desperately needs God. It's always going to be troublesome, and it's always going to be costly. Andy Stanley has a quote which I love, and it goes, "Pain and trouble now for something better later is not sacrifice, it's an investment." I think you'll find when we talk about taking a little bit of effort and some pain to now so that you can reap eternal souls, eternal rewards in other people's lives, introduce them to a God who can transform their life, I think you'll find that that's not really a sacrifice. That's more an investment into eternity. Today, you're going to have to grapple with your resolve and your desire to relate with others for the good news of the gospel of Jesus Christ. To help you with that, I'm hoping maybe I can tell you a story. One kind of obscure story in 2 Kings 7, 3-16. And it might sound a little bit kind of tangential, but I hope you'll stay to the very end and get the point. There are these 4 lepers living in a city. This city has been under siege by the enemy. Now, back in those days, what a siege comprised of was the army would surround the whole city, stopping people from getting supplies and clean water and the like. And so, and if people went out to try out of their defensive walls to try and get some food, the surrounding army would just pick them off. So basically, a city would just stay inside, they'd be insular, and then they would go, "We're safe in our walls." But over time, they would run out of food, they would starve. And in this particular story, they got so bad that they started cannibalism even. They started even eating their own children because there was not enough food, all right? So it was a bad situation. There are these 4 lepers in the city, and they decide, oh my goodness, we're gonna die anyway. We've got leprosy, it's uncurable. Why die in the city when we could die outside? Maybe the army outside will take pity on us. So they leave the city and they go out to face the enemy. When they go out, they discover that the enemy has vacated. It turns out that God fought a battle for them, and there were all these sounds and it scared the enemy away. Anyway, the short version is all of the enemy had vacated, and these 4 lepers found leftover food, clothing, goods, materials, gold, just lying around. And they thought to themselves, this is amazing! Except when you get to verse 9, one of the lepers says, we are not doing right. We owe it to the city to tell them the good news of what we have found. And so the 4 of them resolve at that moment that they're going to go back to the city that kind of just treated them as outcasts. That they will go back to the city and tell them the good news that the enemy has left. The guys in the city, they at first don't believe, they think it's a trap, so they send out some spies, but eventually they discover Oh my goodness. It's all clear. And they have access to food and water and supplies, and it is fantastic. And I bet the lepers would have been thinking, look at all the good we've been doing. This is because we shared the good news. And I hope that when we think about the gospel of Jesus Christ and we think about what it takes to relate to other people, we remember that all of the riches of God's kingdom and all the good news, it's not just for ourselves to eat, drink, and be merry, but that we have the potential to make the lives of our colleagues and our families and our neighbors so much richer and better because they've met the one living God, Jesus Christ. So, if you want to go and be a witness and go out, how do you do it? We want to talk about two things today. One, learn to listen. The first thing, if you're going to relate to other people, is actually take time to listen to what's going on in their life. That you're going to adopt a posture where you're making some heart space in your life for other people's problems and their issues. And then the second thing is get involved. That means in your actual life, you're inviting people to be involved in what you do. Maybe that means play dates for your children. That means inviting people into your home. Maybe it means that if your friend's having a problem, that you're actually helping them out with that problem. One of the great ways, I'm sure as you know, where we can relate with other people is through food. I want to encourage you, maybe in this relate session, think about how you can share meals with other people. How can you invite them into conversations where you can listen to what's going on in their life? Because that's the third important step in being a witness, that you are taking time to relate to others. God bless.